Hello, I am your host Tristan. We do not have our co-host. We don't know, what happened to him. He went into the dark ether, and oh wait, this is the Mandalorian podcast. We can't be making other references here. Yeah, he basically, I don't know where he's at, but we do have a special guest here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, what's up? Alpha score 62 in the house.
Yeah, Alpha scored 62. He was on our first episode of the Mandalorian podcast. Now he's on the fourth. We also had him on one or two episodes of Resistance Radio, which Resistance Radio will be coming back soon, but only it's going to come back. It's going to be released bi-weekly every other Monday instead of weekly. So we're also going to try to put out Wednesday videos. I know I've been saying that for quite a while. But it's still a discussion on when they should be put out between Wednesdays and Fridays. But I'm on my side. I'm trying to put them out on Wednesdays, bi-weekly at the very least. I'm hoping to do it weekly, but if I can't do it weekly, it's going to be put out bi-weekly. But anyway, that's beside the point. Let's go straight into the meat and potatoes of this episode. So this episode, we thought we were going to get Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a good episode. Don't get me wrong; it was a really good episode. Yeah. But it sucked because now we have to wait until next week if we're going to see Ahsoka or not, and then we get to see how they do her in live action and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we also had a throwback to the one blue guy that Mando got in the first place. That kind of like started off the whole series. We get to see him return.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird seeing him return. Like he was one of the side characters in the first episode, and like now he's here.
Yeah, now he plays a role that's kind of significant.
Yeah, to me that's kind of odd.
It is, but it's a good change.
Yeah.
Yeah. They sorry, I'm saying a lot. not having.
Sorry. I say that a lot too.
Not having the co-host here is like throwing me off just a little bit. I'm kind of put on the spot, just slightly. So just bear with me here.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Yeah, usually I'm just letting y'all talk. I'm just listening to y'all conversations, but now it's just two of us.
Yeah. Now it's just two of us. We both have to put in some extra work.
Yeah.
But yeah, we go, freaking Mando's 95 Space Honda Civic made it back to the one planet, and looks like they refurbished the entire planet. I think shock trooper girl and the other guy, I can't at all remember names. Just remember, you're at ChaoticCorp. We don't remember names.
Yeah, the rebel shock trooper was Cara Dune.
Yeah,
and I forget every guy's name, but like I said before, when we watched it, I honestly thought when I first saw the Mandalorian, I honestly thought he was Lando Calrissian.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
That I could see Lando doing that type of work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember she came in and she took out like three of those like aliens.
I think it was like four. I think it was four.
Yeah, but she was. And the funny thing was, we were all having a conversation about like some kind of thing that she said like that was slightly controversial, and they were trying to get her off the show because of it. And then we're like, yeah, we may not see too much of her. The next thing you know, she's going in there blasting everybody, putting people in chokeholds and all that.
Yeah.
I love how she used that one body as like a human shield. Well, not human shield, alien shield, but whatever. And just kind of like dumped it on the one guy shooting at her. It was great. I think the fight scenes here is just great.
It's real great. Something you barely ever see in Star Wars. Like especially with lightsaber duels when it comes to that.
Yeah. So like for like other like fights in Star Wars, if you think in terms of like people who aren't using lightsabers, you don't really see too much of that. that's good,
Yeah.
actually, because you'll have like firefights, like, oh, people are fighting here and there, but in this, you got blasters, you got actual like, physical fighting. I think it's a great change of pace. And there was one thing I wanted to discuss with Jordan. I'll do it in the next episode. Is that people were saying that the first season felt like an old western, but like a space old western. I feel like this season to me feels like an RPG type of thing. Like a
Well, I believe they thought it was something like that because of the music and the intros and stuff.
oh yeah, the music and the style of storytelling and all that. But for me right now, for season 2, I just feel like it's kind of like an RPG, like a medieval, not really medieval, but compare it to medieval. A warrior or adventurer goes on a quest to, deliver something to another thing. That's kind of, it's kind of what this feels like to me. It's like a
kind of
RPG
something you
quest.
kind of something you almost see like in Game of Thrones or Hobbits.
Exactly. Like this guy is like a warrior. He's born. Well, he's not born of a warrior race. He's like in the warrior creed, as part of his religion, and he's seeking out, a sorcerer, and they called them sorcerers. We also, refer to them as Jedi as well. But one of the things they call them as sorcerers, and it's these.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go on.
All right, in my opinion, why they call them sorcerers, because like people at that time like probably didn't even know what Jedi were, because like I said, like we all know this happened after the Empire fell. And
Right.
like probably some people there didn't even know what a Jedi was, or just probably wasn't around when the Clone Wars happened.
Yeah, so like to go further on what you said at the beginning of episode 4, there was Han Solo was a great example. Once they were talking about the Force and all that, Han Solo was like, "You really believe in that stuff?" And that's the beginning of episode 4. This is happening, I think like at least a few years after episode 6. So you take like, logic of episode 4 is like, okay, everyone thinks that like, the Force was like a myth or whatever. Those things are old stories. It was a crazy cult at Coruscant.
Yeah.
There is no Force. It's just, there is no, all that. And then.
Oh, and also.
Oh, sorry.
Also, like, yeah. Also, speaking of the Force, this is going off topic for a little bit, but like, there's been a lot of rumors going all around saying that like Darth Maul will return in the Mandalorian.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's the exact same thing I said.
Yeah, I know why you know. I've already seen like clips here and there. I don't think.
Yeah.
As much as I love Maul, don't get me wrong. If you watch anything from ChaoticCorp, you know that Maul's my favorite. But his story ended long before, the Mandalorian starts. So unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna be able to see that.
Yeah, like Maul. Yeah, I get Maul. Maul was cool during the Clone Wars, and like we didn't get to see him that much during the live action movies and stuff. We only saw him in like Phantom Menace. That was the first episode. That was the first movie for Star Wars, and then we see him in Solo, a Star Wars story. But like those are the only times I've ever seen him in like live action.
Man, yeah, I remember seeing him in Solo. I was like, I literally jumped out of my seat when he came up, because like she put on the projector, I saw the robot legs, and I'm like, dude, there ain't no way. And it showed his face, and I literally jumped out. I'm like, bro, there ain't no way. And it was the original actor from episode 1 as well, and I'm like, dude. Oh man, but yeah, that was great. But yeah, his story ended a long while ago. We could see him if they make some kind of spin-off of that whole Han Solo thing, like whether Solo is going to be in it or not. We could see him in a potential sequel to that. But as far as where the Mandalorian takes place, he's not going to be in it.
Yeah.
His story is done, and you actually did see him, kind of end. With Ahsoka, it was kind of implied that she ended, but there was a bit. It was like off camera, so there was a bit of what's the word? Wiggle room for her to survive that encounter. So that's why we're able to see Ahsoka now. But with Maul, he's done. There's no wiggle room. As much as I'd love Maul to come back, there's no wiggle room for him to come back. But yeah, and the other thing that me and Jordan were talking about at the beginning of the episode was we want to see more Boba Fett in there. Because you only saw him for like,
speaking of Boba Fett, I just want to say this now. In one of the last podcasts, I accidentally said race when it came to the Mandalorian. I accidentally said race when I clearly meant to say creed.
Oh yeah. We all misspeak sometimes. It happens.
Yeah. But we obviously all know that Boba Fett's not Mandalorian. He's sort of like just a clone. It's a clone of a Mandalorian, and Jango Fett never will abandoned the Mandalorian ways a lot.
Because Jango Fett was actually exiled because they were like, you're doing it more for the money than you are the glory. I mean, there was nothing wrong with accepting money out of it, but he was he just didn't follow the Mandalorian code the way that they thought that he should. So he was kind of exiled. And, Boba Fett is just a non-altered clone of an exiled Mandalorian. So there's that. And that's why I said, during our Mandalorian bonus episode that, I would love to see Boba Fett come back as like a villain of some sorts in Mandalorian Season 2. But, we're 4 episodes in. We haven't really seen too much of him. But, there's still a few... I don't know how many episodes they're coming out with. I would say at least 10 at the very least.
We're probably just going to stop at 8 like how they did with Season 1.
Did they stop at 8 with Season... Oh, you know what? They did.
Yeah. And speaking of Mandalorians, I wanted to say none of us Star Wars fans knew what the Mandalorians were until Clone Wars and Rebels came out during that time, during the live action movies, all we saw were these guys in full suited armor.
Right.
Yeah. And the time when Clone Wars came out, we finally got a few glimpses of what Mandalorians were. And plus in Rebels they gave the backstory of Mandalorian, and plus the Darksaber. And now here we are in the actual live action TV show, The Mandalorian.
Yeah, and there was different sources that mentioned Mandalorian or Mandalore before, because we also had comics and different books here and there.
And plus they had them in Legends.
Yeah, I know the Force Unleashed. Yeah. I think we go to Mandalore at some point. I remember fighting a bunch of Mandalorians in Force Unleashed. And I remember my dad mentioning something about Mandalorians before, and I didn't know what Mandalorians were at the time. I was very young, but it's still good to watch those other shows because they do give you a bit of lore. I know that the Grey Jedi are in Rebels, which I love. But yeah, during if you just watch the core movies and that's it, you don't really get a whole lot of lore out of it. I mean, you do get some, but not a whole lot.
In Rebels, there's this ancient being that you meet. I think in the first episode of season 3, where you meet this ancient being that's neither light or dark. He's just they call it the one in the middle, called the Bendu.
Oh, you talk about that one episode where they were on that one weird planet, and it was I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Bendu. So there's different type of names for a person who's force sensitive but neither light or dark. There's the Grey Giant, and there's the ancient being known as the Bendu.
Well, going
I
for. Oh, sorry. Go on.
I also think they explain a little bit of it in Legends, Star Wars Legends, I think.
Ah. Yeah, I haven't really read too much of the books.
Yeah, I know. Like I didn't do that much research over the Jedi. I mostly do my research on from Legends about Mandalorians and stuff.
Right.
Some people can call me a simp for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving forward, Mando's 95 Space Honda Civic gets to that planet, and the people there they fixed it up and everything. And you said that you didn't trust something.
Yeah, I didn't trust this one guy with the big eyes and the red face. It wasn't because he was alien. It wasn't because of that.
It was just the way he looked.
Yeah, it's just the way he just quickly turned his head back towards facing Mando and the others, like making sure they were walking away and leaving. I'm like, something ain't right about him.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get to this this one Imperial facility that Mando's trying to clear out with what's their faces? I can't remember their names, but you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
I'm
Right,
sorry.
Alpha?
I'm sorry. Repeat that.
No. The you know the guys the shock trooper and the other guy's name.
Oh yeah, Cara Dune, the person I thought that was Lando Calrissian and Mando, yeah, and the blue guy. I honestly could care less what was his name.
Yeah, they all infiltrated the facility. They started clearing it out, and then as they're clearing it out, they found out two things. Number one, that place was a lab, and I think it's one of the many labs that Palpatine had over the galaxy, because during the reign of the Empire, he had many different labs. If you've played the campaign to Star Wars Battlefront 2, the newer one from EA in DICE, there's a mission where you actually go into a lab with Luke Skywalker. Just a reference.
Well, it's not actually. No wait, hold on. It's not actually a lab. Not actually a lab. It's just like the Emperor's vault.
Oh, I thought that was a lab. Either way.
Nah. That was a vault.
The Emperor had many labs over the galaxy, and this is one of them. And one of their main purposes was, and this is a spoiler for Rise of Skywalker. I hope to God that you've already seen it.
I've seen it.
And if you've read the novel or looked up a video on it, you'd know how he survived that fall in Episode 6. Is that he transferred his consciousness or his soul or whatever, shot it out into the universe and went into another body that was cloned after him. And this certain clone was basically broken. It just wasn't working right. That's the thing that we saw in Episode 9. Now, the idea of this lab, there's different clones being made. And I had this one theory. I don't know, when I mentioned it, where I mentioned it, but I'm pretty sure I mentioned it on the podcast somewhere. Whereas I believe that the purpose for Baby Yoda, and that's that's the only name that I know him by, or the child, is to house the Emperor, because Yoda's species, it has a high midichlorian count, just naturally. So naturally, they're already gifted in the Force.
Yeah, my hypothesis. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They're trying to either use Baby Yoda as a vessel, or they're going to try to experiment on him to make a proper vessel for the Emperor to return.
And my hypothesis was the same, but I also added Supreme Leader Snoke's whole agenda in there. I'm just wondering what if Supreme Leader Snoke was also it was already confirmed that he was a clone. He was a clone of some types to the from the Emperor in Rise of Skywalker, and the Emperor had, I think he had many other clones of himself in Rise of Skywalker as well. Am I right about that?
I think he did, but none of them were
Yeah.
really like conscious. There was like a bunch of like failed ones all over the place.
Yeah. It's been a minute since I watched The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. The clone that he was in was like on like constant like life support because it had something hooked up to the back of his neck. You know, the cloning
Yeah.
process to for this thing to work specifically, transfer your soul to another body just wasn't perfected just yet. So there was that. And at this point in the show, he's already put into this other body and he's in excruciating pain. I do not know if they're in contact with Sidious or not. I would doubt it, but they're probably like knew like, okay, if the Emperor would fall, this is what the protocol is. Work on the clones throughout the galaxy
Yeah.
or whatever. So
And like, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
so basically, that's what I think. This whole my other theory was another plot that was already used at some other point, but I'm not gonna say where it was used from because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's just like picking up Star Wars. Another theory is that one of the things that they were interested in, it was confirmed through dialogue in there, was Baby Yoda's midichlorian count. They call it an M count, but I don't really know what else M would stand for aside from midichlorian. It just fits. So, what I'm thinking is that they're going to experiment on him, try to mass produce clones with the similar M count, and try to rebuild an army of clones, but force sensitive clones. It's kind of like having an army of Sith, basically. But
Yeah.
you were about to say something, Alpha. You could go ahead.
Yeah. Like in the last episode of Mandalorian where Bo Katan told Mando to Corvus to see Ahsoka Tano. That got me thinking like if they're going to Corvus, will we probably see the former Imperial Inferno Squad leader Iden Versio.
Maybe. I feel like it's something
Maybe.
that they want to
Or
put
like
out
her
there.
or like her daughter, because like if none of y'all know or didn't play the campaign of Star Wars Battlefront 2, Iden Versio was a former Imperial special ops elite soldier, in a group called Inferno Squad. But after seeing her home world get devastated by the Emperor's new weapon, when he designated I forget the name of the protocol, after the second Death Star blew up, she defected from the Empire along with her friend Dell, and and a bunch of other stuff happened. They joined the rebellion to try to rid the galaxy once and for all for the Empire. Then afterwards they released another campaign called Resurrection. It's about where they try to put it in the First Order. And like, if spoilers for y'all who didn't play that, Ida Versio died at the end, and we only get her daughter is the last known Versio. I forget her daughter's name though.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a possibility. So moving forward, Oh, sorry. The other thing that they found out was Moff Gideon is alive. Now we all knew that he was alive because we all saw the ending to season 1, but they assumed that he was dead after that TIE fighter crash. But they actually found out that he was alive, and Moff Gideon was probably going to track them down, and still is looking for Baby Yoda. And at the end of the episode, he's revealed to be on this different version of a Star Destroyer.
No,
And
it's actually smaller than a Star. It's just called a light cruiser.
light cruiser.
It's like one of those light cruisers you see off of Star Wars: The Clone Wars during the Republic era.
All
It's
right,
just small. It's smaller.
I hear you. But yeah, and through dialogue there from one person to another, it's confirmed that the alien that Alpha here suspected actually put in a homing beacon on the Razor Crest, and they're going to be able to track Mando down to wherever he goes, which means two things. Number one, Mando's in extreme danger, and number two, he's going to lead them right to Ahsoka Tano. Now, they're not necessarily looking for Jedi, but nonetheless, they'll probably try to kill Jedi. But at the same time, this is Ahsoka Tano. If you know anything from like the Clone Wars, she is like one of like the last the two known Jedi of the universe right now.
Yeah, obviously one of the best skilled fighters out there.
Oh yeah, going on par to Maul, who went against Maul, who went against Sidious, lost but still Sidious, and then two other Jedi, one of them being Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he also killed one of the Jedi during that fight, and he killed. I think he did kill another. No, Savage killed a different Jedi, but either way, Maul was basically.
I think her name was Agalia, and they was on Felucia.
Well, Maul is just he's born of a warrior race. He's just extremely strong. Both by birthright and by his training. So if Ahsoka could hold her own against him, then she's gonna be able to do some great things. Especially towards just regular, stormtroopers and all that. Now they're still dangerous because they got weapons and all that good stuff, but still this is Ahsoka Tano. So it's a flip of a coin on who's going to be in danger as soon as Ahsoka Tano comes onto the board. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And I believe that the next episode is going to be called The Jedi. I think I saw that somewhere. So we've got to see her this next episode. I gotta wait like a whole week, but it was kind of like it wasn't really too much of a letdown to not see her this episode because this episode was an okay episode. It was pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah.
We get to see different things. But yeah, I think it was a good episode overall. What do you think, Alpha? What was your assessment, and what's your favorite part of the episode?
Yeah. My assessment. I was kind of sad that we didn't get to see Ahsoka or anything like that. But it was still a good episode to watch. My favorite part was when they was at the facility fighting against all the stormtroopers and trying to destroy everything in there. Yeah, that was my favorite part of the movie.
I'd say my favorite part. Well, I'll say like an honorable mention because what I found really funny was when the one guy was just trying to open up the door. This is after Mando flew up to the platform or whatever.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you see this stormtrooper just falling from the sky, and I was like, okay, that I would say that is an honorable mention. I just want to point that out there. But one of my favorite parts was the Razor Crest coming back during that last fight scene where it was just soaring through. And honestly, I think they upped the budget by a whole lot since the last season because it was very cinematic. It had good picture. It was great. I don't know if they did CGI or they had to for some point of it, but it was just a great scene.
Yeah. Also, I believe that part where the stormtrooper fell down in front of it was kind of like a reference to the Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie that was out. Do you remember that?
I remember the Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie, but I don't know what part you're referring to.
I'm talking about the part where Anakin, Ahsoka, and the rest of the clones first arrived to Teth to rescue Jabba's son, and then out of nowhere they see a droid fall right in front of them.
Oh, I forgot. It's been such a long while since I've seen that movie.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie.
Honestly, I just watched the movie today.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just felt like, I'm just going to watch some of my favorite Star Wars stuff off of Disney Plus. And I started with the Clone Wars movie.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I remember me and Jordan one time we just randomly just watched episode 2, like, the movie episode 2, Attack the Clones, just out of, we were just bored and we're like, you know what, I'm really feeling episode 2 right now, and we just started watching it. It was really random.
I did like episode 2. I did like episode 2. Mostly because that cool action scene at the end where all the clones just come in and rescue all the Jedi.
Yeah. See, episode 2 was like, I have my critiques about almost not all Star Wars movies, but a lot of them. I just don't feel like the only thing I had a problem with in episode 2 was Anakin and Padme, and the same thing in episode 3 as well. Is that there wasn't too much chemistry between the two.
Yeah.
It was just weird. The whole everything about that was just weird to me. But either way, the rest of it, I liked it for what it was.
In my opinion, they made it seem like Anakin was almost kind of whining a little bit about how stuff was. My opinion, during the live action movies and where during the Clone Wars, Anakin was like a little bit more mature.
Right. Yeah. Like, during, because episode 2, they kind of like, they're too gung ho about it, because they were like, okay, sand people, he's gonna slaughter all of them, he's gonna seem like a serial killer. I get that, but the Clone Wars put it as like a slow process to the dark side. At first, he's this well trained Jedi, but then he starts, getting on the receiving end of the Council's like lies and everything. Because I remember seeing this one episode of the Clone Wars, and it was actually a multiple episode story arc, but it was where they faked Obi-Wan Kenobi's death, and this man is like a father figure to Anakin. And the Council and Obi-Wan Kenobi both kept this like whole operation a secret from him. And it's just like, dude, I know that, like, I know what you're going for, faking his death and everything, but that's a bit much. That really is. And
that was kind of a bit harsh.
It really was. And there was also like other things that sort of happened, to make him distrust the Council. And it was just, the Clone Wars was a greater gradual fall to the dark side than him being really, really, really edgy teenager in episode 2, and all of a sudden he's kind of mature in episode 3, and then he just goes straight to the dark side. Now once you watch the Clone Wars and see everything that Anakin's went through, episode 3 makes a whole lot more sense than it was going from episode 2 to episode 3. So don't get me wrong, I love episode 3. And episode 2, I only had a few problems with.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, episode 2 I only had a few problems with, but episode 3 I loved. I think it's my favorite Star Wars movie out of all of them.
Yeah, I have to say the one thing I absolutely loved about episode 3 was Anakin versus Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah, that was really emotional. It was well choreographed. Everything. Yeah. I think that's the best lightsaber duel like ever. Honestly.
Yes.
That was great.
But like before that scene with Order 66 and Padme's pleas to Anakin, that just broke a few pieces of my heart.
Yeah.
That just played a sad song on my heartstrings.
Yeah.
Especially with Padme's pleas. Like, I was just trying to compose myself for how she sounded, how she just pleaded. Just, bro.
What really got me about that whole episode, like, emotionally, was, like, I get where you're coming from with Padme, but what really got me was Obi-Wan. Was at the end of the episode, just right at the end of the fight, he was like, "You were like a brother to me."
Yeah.
And then and then that whole speech was just so emotional, and to think that he was holding all of that in, for quite a while, because he found out about Anakin's betrayal in when he went to the Jedi Temple with Yoda, and he still composed himself. He did like outwardly express that he couldn't kill Anakin, and he wanted to fight Palpatine instead. That was the only type of emotion that he showed. He just kept everything else in. He had so much sorrow, so much disappointment, so much anger, and everything, and he had to hold that in to keep composed. And then once the fight was finally subsided, that's when he just let it all out, and it was just that was heartbreaking.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm finishing. Go on.
Oh, okay. Like, in my opinion, the Jedi and the whole Jedi Council was pushing Anakin to the dark side.
They really were.
In my whole opinion.
See,
yeah.
I mentioned this in a past podcast before, was that the Jedi kind of became corrupt. Now, mass genocide, not the answer. But they were kind of, taking control of different things with the Senate and all that. Like killing the Sith, I kind of got, but there was a bunch of other things they kind of like took control and lied and all that type of stuff. They just they weren't good as rulers basically, and neither were the Sith. So the only type of government that was perceived as good was the New Republic, whereas Jedi religion isn't really a main factor in that. Now, yes, Luke Skywalker's part of it, but it's not really like a whole council of Jedi, telling the Republic to do. The New Republic is made by the people who took down the Empire.
Yeah, and it was kind of explained that Luke made some mistakes as a Jedi Master trying to reform the Jedi Order. It was explained that he did make a few mistakes for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
especially with the part of killing Ben, especially with the part killing Ben Solo, like that wouldn't solve. Yeah, that wouldn't just solve anything. That would just make things even more worse.
See, he was afraid that he was creating the next Darth Vader, and then in trying to kill him, he created the next Darth Vader. So
yeah,
because like going over like the Jedi, see the whole thing with the Jedi ruling over the galaxy is that they were so quick to accept Palpatine as like a supreme leader to everything, and then that right after that they realized like, okay, there's so much oppression, there's basically all the bad that came with the Empire. So it's just a matter of politics. You could see how the galaxy reacted to the Jedi falling. They were so quick to accept this new ruler because the Jedi were so horrible. But then years down the line, they created a rebellion against said ruler that they were so quick to accept. So it's just like the religions shouldn't have a direct role into politics, basically.
Yeah. And was the Jedi ever that corrupt during the Old Republic?
The Old Republic,
I don't think they were.
The Old Republic, I don't know too much about, to be honest with you. I wish Jordan was here because I'm pretty sure he read a lot of the books to it. Yeah. And
I've only seen a little bit of things about the Old Republic, and not much said about them just being a corrupted order during that time.
Right.
Yeah, but also during that time it was just a lot. It was just war, Jedi versus Sith, and then don't get me started with the Mandalorian civil war between the Sith and the Sith, Jedi, and Mandalorians.
Right. Yeah, because the Jedi and the Mandalorians were sworn enemies and all that because their religions are basically the exact opposite. Is that Mandalorians for really zealous people that study the religion of Mandalore, it's you fight for glory, and their whole they thrive on conflict, whereas the Jedi are the exact opposite. They thrive on peace and serenity. So the two religions, they're just polar opposites of each other, so that just kind of sparked a war between the two.
Yeah, I'll be honest. From all sides, against like bloodthirsty warmongers, Mandalorians versus the peace and order and kindness of the Jedi, I would still pick Mandalorians.
I mean, Mandalorians had like a sense of honor to them. They weren't completely
Yeah,
evil. They just thrived too much on conflict. You know,
like
where Mandalorians were, they were, you know, conflicting. Whether that
like
be a good thing or
I
a
don't
bad thing.
even like I wouldn't even like try to confirm Death Watch is evil as much. I won't even try to confirm that.
Well, I feel like they were kind of like a terrorist group. Not gonna lie, because they
Yeah,
kind of like try to overthrow the government and everything. I mean, I guess it's like nothing that the rebels didn't do later down the line, but their reasoning was a bit different because you know they overthrew the government because the government was trying to be pacifistic. So
yeah,
I don't know.
and like I actually agree. I actually agree with Death Watch. And call me crazy, but I do actually agree with him because, like, in my point of view, like being a pacifist won't really solve as much as anything. Like if you choose to side with neither side of a war, then one side is either going to invade you or destroy you.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
But I
It
feel like
huh?
no, like the way that I personally go about things is I try to be pacifistic and I go by yeah I try to be that way, just kind of like, you know, be pacifistic, use my words to like solve problems, and then, you know, what you said was like basically I would use, like, you know, not violence, but because I'm talking about real life, but like
Yeah.
um I don't know what the word, like conflict. I would use that as like a last resort to things. Whereas, you know, before that I'll try to be pacifistic. But if it escalation gets sorry if the situation escalates to a certain point, then, you know, there's a point where you have to drop being pacifistic.
Yeah, I mean, like I get why the Death Watch was trying to do what they was trying to do. It's just the way they went on it was just like wrong, because
Right.
first they trusted the Separatists and Count Dooku, bad idea. Then then they trusted Maul and Savage, also bad idea. We all know how that ended up.
Right.
And yep. And then that just led to the downfall of Death Watch and just like the whole Mandalore itself.
Right. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's all, I mean, it's all interesting. It's all very, very interesting. But we've been running around. You know, we got a decent amount of runtime. So if you have anything else to close with, Alpha, you may close with it.
Like also like speaking of Mandalore, it was nice to see Mandalore again in Star Wars Rebels, seeing how it was the same old Mandalore we always knew it was. Like
Right.
just it was just sad how it went down after the Empire fell. Like it was already confirmed by, I think, Moff Gideon, that like it's just now an or like Moff Gideon, or like I think Bo-Katan, or even the armorer that we saw in season 1, that Mandalore was just now an abandoned wasteland, and like just that was just kind of sad in my opinion.
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is.
Yeah, and Bo-Katan trying to get the Darksaber back so she can rule her people, like that's something you want to root for and stand by with.
Oh yeah, I love to see that have like a final showdown
Yeah,
between the
and I
two.
know like I think while we were watching, either you or Jordan said something about there being more than one Darksaber. I think
Yeah,
but like
I had like a theory, like, okay, there's got to be like more than one, but
but
Jordan
no,
Jordan proved me wrong on that, or you proved me wrong.
yeah.
Someone proved me wrong.
Well, we both kind of proved you wrong, because Tar Vizsla created the Darksaber when he was inducted into the Jedi Order. And then a Death Watch soldier took it back, and then so somebody can rule Mandalore. and Bo-Katan being by blood is the rightful ruler of Mandalore.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, that's all I gotta say.
All right. Thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. Next week we'll possibly have Jordan back, and we'll go over episode 5 of The Mandalorian next week. We release every Saturday at 7:45. It's really weird. I try to release at like 8 o'clock, like 8 a.m. But for some reason, YouTube don't like me doing that. It's not even showing up as an option to schedule it then. So 7:45 each Saturday morning until the season ends. We'll be here. You could follow me. I stream time to time at twitch.tv/Apollo Your King. You could follow Alpha here, Alpha Scourge 62. He doesn't have a custom URL just yet for YouTube, but his link will be in the description, and there will also be a link card on screen right now if you're watching on YouTube. Go support him and any other social medias that he has or ChaoticCorp has will be either in the description or up on screen. So thank you guys for listening, and have a wonderful week.